Women are not the property of males in this country. No human has a right to own and control another. The violence in our society from time to time again is always linked to alcohol and beer halls. The abuse of alcohol by our citizens is robbing the state of billions of rands per year, where our hospitals are jam-packed with injuries from assaults, especially on Sundays and Mondays. The example of this is seen in the case of our own comrade, Deputy Minister Manana, who today appeared at the Randburg court after handing himself over to the police this morning, following his constant cooperation with the investigators from the day the matter was reported. The Deputy Minister availed himself to us and has been fully cooperative. Citizens have rightfully demanded that this case be treated as serious and urgent due to the identity of the perpetrator. I agree. A few days passed without a court appearance due to witness statements that had to be obtained and the case docket that had to meet the good standards we have set to make sure we prosecute successfully. There was never a reason to rush a matter when the emergency is not there. Rushing leads to many simple and straightforward cases being bungled. South African Police Service has been thorough and the law is taking its course. Your state fully supports the victim and acting only on behalf of the victim. The case is going to be Manana versus the state, acting for the victim. Many have asked for a rush to arrest the suspect. However, the law does not always work that way. An arrest without a warrant is done willy-nilly. Indeed, an axe-wielding man in the street will be arrested as that is an emergency. A man caught or a woman in the moment of beating his wife will be restrained and arrested. Courts have also been cleared to South African Police Service that an arrest must be done procedurally. We lose a lot of money in civil claims in this regard when we arrest without proper due diligence. Arrest is not a form of punishment. An arrest police make is primarily to secure appearance in court and also as an emergency measure to restore peace and order. The Deputy Minister is a known individual. He cannot hide from the law. He is not a flight risk, and as police, we do not mete out punishments but secure suspects for court processes. Courts hear the matters openly and decide on punishment or otherwise. I've noted that many in society will prefer for the Minister of Police to carry with himself handcuffs and cuff up any suspect. That will not make us a police. That will make us a police state. We are a constitutional democracy, and we have a victim who is able to identify her attacker, and the law will now take its course. The disturbing aspects of the matter before the police is very clear. A woman was assaulted by a group of men who, according to media reports, had a problem with something she said. A group of men, a clan, joined to exchange masculine punches with a lady at a beer hall well after the legal hours of consumption of alcohol, as per license of the beer hall itself. Here we are dealing with various potential crimes, and this suppress the state and put pressure on service delivery, as the victim had to be seen by a medical professional. We saw a brutal view of a schoolboy challenging a schoolgirl into a fight and beating her up so bad I thought she needed a scan to check her likely head trauma. These things occur when we promote violence and make it fashionable. These are the children we raise. This boy, if there is no serious intervention, will surely grow up to be a women killer. Crimes against women and all gender-based violence are not only plain evil but directly cost the public and economy money. And grandmother who buys her living essentials and paying VAT, pays for drunkenness of people who end up raping and assaulting women. Another vulnerable group were found to be particularly vulnerable in KwaZulu-Natal, Limpopo, and Eastern Cape are our citizens with albinism. The pigmentation issue on people with albinism does not change their organs. It will not give you any power. Our elderly people with disabilities too are under great strain from the able-bodied people. Yesterday, I witnessed a broken mother. Her pain teared the walls of the room of a humble home in Khayelitsha as she was getting into terms with the untimely death of her daughter. She and her husband, who escaped death from a grievous assault, had feared that the day may come as they went through terror over the years from the person of interest in this case. They had witnessed their daughter, Aviwe Jam Jam, coming home with bruises and being treated like a piece of property. They did all they could as parents, but ultimately their beautiful daughter was found dead after missing for weeks. I want to again inform communities this very important message. I know we watch American movies and they give us ideas. In South Africa, however, there is no waiting period for reporting a missing person. If a person who has been known to arrive or phone at a particular time does not do so, go report to police station immediately. There is no waiting time. The sooner you report the matter, the higher the chances of us saving a life. As I conclude, let me go back to a question I said I have posed to myself as a Minister of Police. What is it that I am doing to make it easier for women and all vulnerable groups to report these very serious crimes to police? On Friday, tomorrow, I will be unveiling a policy on removing barriers on reporting of gender-based crimes, domestic violence, and other related crimes. It is a program of action. It is a call of action. It is a mobilization of our society. It is utilizing our police station as the reporting point and the processing of the crime. But it needs all hands on deck to execute our mandate to save and protect our citizens, women and children in particular. In this policy, we are saying no woman must be turned back from a police station. Most of the time, women get turned back from the police station, and the consequence of that, it is women we found to have actually either withdrawn their cases and eventually they get killed by their perpetrators. Each person reporting a crime must be treated as a genuine victim, not to be second-guessed, but assisted. That is our policy. You don't go to a police station and report a crime and the police officer second-guess you that you don't have bruises and there is nothing wrong about you. You can speak, you can walk, you can hear, and therefore you can go back. And what we're saying is that in our policy, that must be a matter of the past. A woman in a police station reporting crime must be treated diligently and be understood. And no case must be withdrawn at the police station. It is only a court of law that must make that determination. We are saying a slap on the face is a potential murder. Because a slap and you go back to family, business, and the matter is settled, it is a potential murder, as it would have happened with many of the victims who died at the hands of the perpetrator. We are saying unwanted touching is a potential rape. If a woman says no, it means that you must retreat as a real man because she doesn't want what you want. And therefore you must retreat because it's a potential rape. All victims and their families must be offered victim support. As much as this is important, we are aware that our police stations do not execute this mandate and this policy fully. wherein which all victims and their families must be offered victim support. Girls are allowed to bungle in their own cases, and then potentially the investigators get bribed either way or get dissuaded either way, depending on the standing of an individual. If I'm Fikile Mbalula, somebody report that I've actually abused them or beaten them up, and the victim automatically does not enjoy the rights of being supported. The person who is covered and supported becomes the perpetrator. In this particular instance, the state must protect the victim, and the perpetrator must see for himself in relation to the reported crime. We are saying our police stations will treat victims or survivors with care and all sensitivity in line with the trauma they have gone through. We are saying we have no time to waste time. Ahlome ihlasele gender-based violence. Lastly, we are saying that the case in point of the Deputy Minister, it is very disappointing because we expect individuals like him to act as ambassadors in the protection of women against violence. But nonetheless, everybody is presumed innocent until proven otherwise. And nobody is above the law. That is guaranteed in our jurisprudence. And I'm not judging anyone who have questioned the police about the case of Manana, because it is true in our society that sometimes our law has got eyes in terms of who is the perpetrator, and they are treated with special kid gloves. And I can assure you that Deputy Minister Manana will not be treated with special kid gloves, and then will face the full wrath of the law in relation to the reported crimes, of which today he appeared in court. From the moment the matter was reported to the minister via Twitter, we made a follow-up and unleashed the police on that. We did not wait to hear and understand where the case was opened. And we reported the matter immediately to our police, who undertook the mission to start the investigation on the matter. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister, for those questions, for the statement. Jeez, all right. Let's start here in Cape Town. Let me start at the back, actually, and then I'll count. You'll be number 1, you'll be number 2, number 3, 4, 6, or 5, sorry, 6, 7. Can we do 5, and then we're then going to do the other one so that the minister is able to record? So it's 1, 2, so it's open our all right. You can shoot.
Good afternoon, Minister. Paul Becchiardi from Bloomberg. You admitted to also giving Deputy Minister some kind of legal advice. Could you explain your actions? Surely you should have stepped back from this immediately if you or he contacted each other. Secondly, the Deputy Minister, was he accompanied by his police bodyguards? And if so, did they witness the incident? And why did they not intervene? In terms of the South African Police Services Act, any policeman witnessing the commission of a crime in front of him has to act, otherwise they are charged with obstruction of justice. If they were there and they saw, why did they not act? And will the police be laying charges against them?
Thank you very much.
Marianne Merton, Daily Maverick. With regards to the previous case opened against Nduduzi Manana by a woman in Ermelo, the case number is CN123/07/2017. That case was not on social media. That case remains under investigation. Please comment on that. And with respect to that situation of this previous case, would you please comment or respond to the fact that you, as the Minister of Police, got involved? Presumably you have senior police officers on speed dial, communications were issued, etc., and there was police action in this case. The fact that you have to get personally involved and that when issues are not necessarily broadcast on social media, as the Ermelo incident involving the Deputy Minister, is this not a grave concern that the police service is not doing their job as they need to do? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, can I get you clear? You say I was involved. I was personally involved.
No, the social media.
No, yes, you.
Marianne.
Oh, no, I'm not saying. You mentioned earlier that once you saw the clip on social media, you got involved. That's what you said just now. And my thing is, in comparison to this case and the previous incident and the previous case, the CN123, etc. number, we've got action in this case. We still have not action had in the previous case. Is it not a concern that it looks like police are only acting when they get instruction, say, from a senior political official like yourself, or perhaps the acting police commissioner or something like that? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Bianca Capozorio from the Sunday Times. A few questions based on some of the things that you said, Minister. You said that...
A slap on the face is a potential murder. Unwanted touching is a potential rape, says the Minister of Police, Fikile Mbalula, as he is briefing the media on a number of different cases and situations where violence was experienced in the country, gender-based violence as well. A lot of questions around the Deputy Minister of Higher Education and Training, Mduduzi Manana. The minister stating that he did hand himself over and he was present in court today, saying that the Deputy Minister has been fully cooperating with the law and that the matter is serious and urgent as well, stating that he will not be protected in any way and that the law is indeed taking its course, stating that albinism, this is also touching on the Alviwe Jam abuse case and other cases that has been experienced in the country. The question and answer session is currently taking place here at this media briefing. Let's go live now to hear how the Minister of Police, Fikile Mbalula, answers these questions.
You said that you can assure us that Deputy Minister Mduduzi Manana will not be treated with kid gloves, but we understand that he's already been treated with kid gloves. He was allowed to use the back entrance of the court where he was appearing in. That to me already seems like, you know, an animal that's more equal than the others in the farm. Secondly, there's the issue of me calling him still Deputy Minister. I mean, should there not have been some kind of call that came from government that says that he must step down up until this issue is sorted out? I mean, that from the way I'm sitting, that should have been one of the first things to have happened. I mean, you yourself, I mean, as Minister of Police, maybe should have advised him in that way, maybe not personally, but to have said, look, up until this issue of him is sorted out, maybe he should step down. Yes, and then just lastly, said the fact that you know, there's a pattern that, like this minister or this deputy minister, this is not the first time that he's accused of having, you know, raised his hand toward a woman. It boggles my mind that he continues to serve in government as an ambassador for our republic when he's facing a charge of this nature. What do you think should happen to him in terms of his position? Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. Actually, let's do this. Let's give the minister to respond to these ones, and then we can have one in the other round. Okay. Minister?
Well, I didn't understand the first question with regard to we offered him legal advice. Where does it arise from?
Minister, there's a media story out that you admitted to have telephoned him, giving him advice on what to do. So if that's not true, fine. But I mean, did you speak to him then in any other way and tell him what to do? For instance, advise him to get a lawyer and all of that? And was it appropriate?
No, it is not what I do. I didn't do that. First, the story was reported to the Minister of Police via Twitter, and I didn't have contacts with the people who were involved up until a later stage, which they then contacted me personally on my telephone. And in that regard, I had called Mdu to understand what happened, because I'm on Twitter and I use that platform also, where people who are victimized and young women, they report their atrocities that they come across on a daily basis. And here was a woman who was badly bitten in a club and was reported, I think, on Sunday Times. I was also tagged that here are the people bitten, what happened by the deputy minister. And I asked, what happened? And then I said, this is a serious matter in relation to that. So, and I buried it there because it meant that it's a matter that is serious, that needs to be related to the police, and we need to take up the issue. What he said to me, it's a matter of saying that, no, it was not him. It was the people that he was with. So I'm not an investigator. So at that point, that's where our discussion stopped till today. And even after the incident, I learned about it, I did not continue to communicate with him. My communication with him too stopped at that point. And immediately the victim called me through his brothers and the sister cousin close to her and explained to me what happened. And then I took the necessary steps to ensure that the matter is reported to the police. And then I phoned General Deliwe in Gauteng Police to assist, as I usually do. And I activated General Mutiba because this involved a person known in the cabinet, that this matter must be followed up and be treated with importance, and ensure that the victim is assisted. And then I was informed, which in my later statement that I released, informed by the police that indeed the case was opened, and I activated them to support the family. So I'm not investigating the case. But when the case is reported on my platforms and is brought to my attention, I'm not a police officer, but I don't put a blind eye to that. I make a follow-up. Is this matter been attended to? And if not, why is it not attended? I've helped more than 5,000 young women, who some of them, when I came into the police because of the Twitter platform, were saying to me that, Minister, I've reported to the police for more than 5 years. I'm on the run from a man. And some of them are in jail because of my intervention. Now, it's not supposed to be like that. And that is why, based on that experience, it means there is something wrong in terms of the administering of justice at the police station level. You cannot have a person reporting a crime at a police station of abuse more than 5 times, and as a police officer in that police station, you don't take that matter seriously. Even once, if the person comes for the second time, then the perpetrator must be found to be. Some of these perpetrators are found and they are let loose for reasons that are known to the police officers, and the woman who report the case end up dying and being killed. Some of the cases we're dealing with is in Alexander. A guy killed a woman, and then before that happened, the woman had reported the case, not of abuse, of assault, GBH. In a couple of weeks, the woman came back to the police station and withdrew the case. It was allowed. A week later, the perpetrator came to the house and killed the woman and killed the brother. A friend of the girl who actually died got my numbers. You distribute our numbers most when you want to outvote the president. So everybody has got my number. Happy to the campaign of Zuma must fall. So my numbers are everywhere. I'm called by everybody, even for anti-crime purposes. So they got my number and then they called me. And I went to Alexander Police Station as an example to highlight that our police stations cannot be negligent to the lives of ordinary citizens of our country who are vulnerable, in particular women. I met the station commander, I gathered the facts, and then by the time I arrived there, the person a week later was not yet arrested. 2 weeks. And the family knew where he was and where he was hiding, but nobody was doing anything about it. And then I went there and I called the media. And the following day, he presented himself and he was arrested. And he is now denied bail and is still standing trial in this particular case. So there are many such cases. And I'm not saying that the police must do this thing alone. They must not. Police must not use favoritism and bungle cases and withdraw them simply because somebody is of an important stature. The case I don't want to talk about of Kailicha yesterday, similar features. The girl is dead. Went to report the case, withdrew the case. The parents were tormented. The woman stayed with the abuser for years. And then she was found dead somewhere in the veld next to Athlone. Now, this is society. And I'm not saying that. I'm saying the police force that I lead in South Africa must do things right. In this campaign, I'm saying that within what the law permits, we must be able, in the 6 points that I've outlined, to protect our women in every police station. But you know, as I know, not all police stations are going to do what I say it's policy. They are going to debunk, they are going to bungle, they are going to neglect what we are talking about. How do we hold them accountable? There must be a mechanism where in which if a case is reported to a police station, I enable citizens to report and then I ask a question. Not a hotline. What I'm doing here on Twitter on every day, I'm doing on DMs. It has been genuine cases and all of them spot on. 5 years and all of that been reported. Now it means in my system, there are cases that are reported and neglected by police for one reason or the other, and so on. So we need to address that. We can't say we've identified the gaps in the system and we don't do anything about that. And that is why, as we undertake the campaign against gender-based violence, we say our police stations must become a front line in the response against women abuse and violence against women. And the law permits, we're empowered in terms of the Domestic Violence Act and so on, and we must act. We've got specialized units that have been established. Where are they? What is their experience? So I want equally a dialogue for the police to speak out, because there is gender prejudice also within the police. When a woman comes to report at a police station, a police cop who's a man says that, hey, well, now wait there. There is. We need to deal with that issue from a point of law enforcement. And cases have been bungled. In most instances, investigators have got a cogent, cozy relationship with the perpetrator. Mdu is not the first person we're dealing with. Arthur Mafokate was appearing on Drum magazine. Society campaigned and said no to that nonsense. Why are you on Drum magazine when you are accused of such a crime against a woman? You see, equally, the perpetrator is well known. But all these people must understand the consequence of their actions, that they will not be spared by the law, and the law will grind on them in terms of their actions. Whether or not you can argue that you were provoked or otherwise, whatever that can actually be said, but it doesn't give you a right to lift your hand against a woman. And most of these women who come and report their cases in the police stations don't have money, don't have legal representation. As a person who is a perpetrator, you've got money, you've got legal representation, you've got powerful connections, including in the police station. So you are protected. So the poor girl goes to court, she's been molested, assaulted, the perpetrator is acquitted because she doesn't have protection. First and foremost, she's not properly guided in terms of taking a statement, victim support, to understand their rights. If I'm going to protect my friend and the other friend of another friend, it's going to be a perpetuation of violence against women. It will never stop. So I'm saying that it must not happen. The police must not be told by the Minister of Police what to do. They must do their job. But the Minister of Police, because he's a Minister of Police, cannot put a blind eye to the well-known act of abuse and simply walk away from that. I must be able to report that matter to the police. That doesn't only include crimes that are related to women. That includes crimes, including people reporting crimes that before they happen, drug lords and all of that, and we have raided those places and we have found people in those particular areas. Was the deputy minister accompanied by the police is a subject of investigation. Whether or not he was with the police and all of that, and where the police, as and when that particular action happened. So that matter is a matter of investigation. And equally, is a matter that concerns me because the police that got him are the police that report directly to me. So I need to know those answers, and I filed those questions. And in relation to my own department directly, at the helm of it, to know what happened. Because these protectors are given to ministers to look after them 24/7. So when all these activities happened, where were the protectors? And I don't want to comment on the case so that I'm not called as a witness. I've seen what we've seen in the videos, and I've seen what is being reported, and I leave it there. I don't want to comment about my view and my posture. My posture is to ensure that a matter that is reported of a woman being abused and kicked and all of that is brought before the courts. And the deputy minister is held accountable to basically account on what is actually reported. Maverick. Yes, we have all learned about some of the cases that were reported, and some of them are not, in the database of the police in terms of the case number and all of that. So I expect the police, in the context of the policy that I've outlined, that those matters must be followed up, because we cannot allow those particular issues to go on unattended. That is what is important. Why am I involved all the time? I think I've answered that question. I get involved because of my space. I was well and good in sports. Nobody called me about abuse. And I was at sports, and I was on Twitter, and I was exchanging good ideas with Adrian Basson on Twitter. So nobody came to me to talk about these issues of safety. I was just talking about Floyd Mayweather and all of the other important issues. And Caster Semenya, and Wade van Niekerk, and Akani Simbini. That's all what I used to do. It was nice.
Sounds like you want to go back to it.
No, it was nice there, I must say. But equally, this one is okay because it's serving. So I do it to the best of my ability. So now I'm in the police. People reported their things because it changed overnight. So they reported their things about the situations that they are faced in, difficulties, and so on. So we attend to those issues. And some of those issues, I realize that police have been negligent in attending to them. I can tell you a lot of cases. Eastern Cape, a woman called me. She was involved. She was abused. She was not attended. A woman called me. She was raped. I activate the police in the Eastern Cape. I was called by his brother from Johannesburg. I don't know him. We've never met. And then when the police go there, indeed, that was the truth. A woman was raped, reported the rape. She was neglected. The perpetrator is still around. The docket, above all, is missing. But we've gone back. We've arrested the perpetrator. The lady is happy. She's getting protection. So those are the things I've come across when I'm on Twitter, on my cell phone. that people have called me and have given me messages that we've got this problem. There is a crime next door happening. I report to the police because I've got police contacts. I run the police in this country. I don't have a crisis of the police telephone numbers. I don't relate to 10-111. I talk to police directly. Yes, 10-111 is important, and I'm coming up with new mechanisms that are refreshing in the fight against crime to make it even more possible for citizens to report their cases without fear or favor. Because I've realized that there's no prank calls on Twitter when people report this thing, but it is also the ability and the willingness. And when a case is reported, cops don't most of the time attend to the case. They neglect that case, and then it falls wayside. Police getting instructions. Yes, I instruct police every day. It is my job for various reasons. Some of the instructions they take, some they don't take. But I've never given them illegal instructions that go and close a case there, don't do that. No, I've given them lawful instructions that this one must be arrested. You don't know the fight I go through about arrest of people because I'm not a cop. I get lectured sometime that no, this cannot be done at this time. I say nonsense. This must be done. This person must be arrested. That's what I go through. It's my job, but I'm not going to come before you and mourn what must happen because that is what we've got to do. So we've got to protect our citizens, and that is what is important. The question of Sunday Times, serial offender, and all of that, look, all of those particular cases and the people who are involved, it is within their right to report those particular issues. If there were serial offenders in the cases that have been reported, they need to be attended to. But I'm not here to defend Deputy Minister Manana. I'm just explaining the law and what we do from the context of the police in any other case that happens. And Du is not the first person in the public domain who has been faced with this.